Mr. President.
The Majority Leader.
Thank you. Reserving the right to object, let me just point out, if I might, that we are 29 days into a Democrat shutdown. And the senator from New Mexico was absolutely right. SNAP recipients shouldn't go without food. People should be getting paid in this country. And we've tried to do that 13 times. And you voted no 13 times. This isn't a political game. These are real people's lives that we're talking about. And you all have just figured out, 29 days in, that, oh, there might be some consequences. There are people who run out of money. Yeah, we're 29 days in. And they've done their best to make sure that a lot of these programs are funded. But at some point, the government runs out of money. 13 times, people over here voted to fund SNAP. 13 times they voted to fund WIC. My aching back. Finally realized this thing has consequences. Well, you know what? What Democrats are doing here. They're making plans to keep the shutdown going. And they realize, all of a sudden, 29 days in, that this is a real consequence, real life pain for American families, something that results from their shutdown. So are they making plans to end the shutdown and reopen the government? Nope. They're going to propose a bill to fund food stamps during their shutdown. Mr. President, this request is a transparent admission that Democrats want to keep the shutdown for what? Another month? Longer? This bill is a cynical attempt to provide political cover for Democrats to allow them to carry on their government shutdown for the long term. Now, I'll point out, we did 13 short-term clean CRs when they had the majority and President Biden was in the White House. 13. They've now voted 13 times against a clean CR. I have no idea where you're coming from. The Democrat leader said that President Trump could end this with a stroke of his pen. And he's right. We passed that bill with a stroke of his pen, he'll sign it into law. And the government opens up. And SNAP beneficiaries, SNAP recipients get food assistance. But you know what else? TSA workers get paid. Air traffic controllers get paid. Border Patrol agents get paid. Troops get paid. These people here get paid who are working without pay. You want to extend that and keep that going? Give me a break. So the people who aren't going to get the benefit of what they're trying to do today, Mr. President, are all the other programs that are affected. Head Start, grants to law enforcement to fight fentanyl and hire more cops to protect communities. Rural development programs that are important in my state, Senator from New Mexico State, I assume as well, that support housing, utilities, infrastructure projects in rural communities. Small business loans, certain direct loan and emergency programs that farmers rely on. National Guard training, critical to our nation's military readiness. Veterans transition assistance as they come out of service. Veterans cemetery services. Right now, there are no headstones, memorial certificates, cemetery maintenance, programs that are at risk, rental and housing assistance, delays in processing FHA-insured loans, delays in aircraft inspections and maintenance for air traffic control equipment, people that are currently not getting paid. I mentioned some of them, but air traffic controllers, TSA officers, Capitol Police, the people who protect us in this building, NOAA employees who are tracking hurricanes and other potential weather disruptions, disasters, food inspectors, other food and drug safety officials, mine safety inspectors, people who don't have pay certainty right now, troops, Coast Guard, ICE, Border Patrol, federal law enforcement, federal federal wildland fighters, firefighters, extenders that have lapsed, telehealth and at-home care, community health centers, teaching health centers, special diabetes programs, payments for ambulances, hospital at-home services, other lapsed authorizations, CISA to prevent against cyber attacks, National Flood Insurance Program to prevent closure, on homes in flood zones. That's what you're leaving on the table. The bill at the desk takes care of all of it. Funds SNAP, funds WIC, and yes, with the stroke of the president's pen, he can sign it into law and everybody starts getting paid again. This has got to stop. Hostage taking. Now you want some political cover. How long is this going to go on? How much longer do you want to see it go on? Just out of curiosity. So you think this buys some time. You want the shutdown to go on for another month, and then we're going to have another people come down here and, well, let's carve this out or carve this out. Why don't we just open the government? I've never seen anything like this. I've been here a good amount of time. I've seen continuing resolutions and appropriations problems and funding fights and government shutdowns. I've been through a few. I've never seen anything like this. This just isn't done. You want to have a discussion about health care? Absolutely. Let's do it. Open the government, let's do it. President will sit down with Democrats next week if you want to talk about health care. That's not what this is about. So, Mr. President, we're not going to pick winners and losers. It's time to fund everybody who's experiencing the pain from this shutdown. The Democrats really want to fund SNAP and WIC. I have a bill for them, sitting right there at the desk. Clean, nonpartisan, CR to fund SNAP, WIC, and the entire government, and all the many programs and people that the Democrat SNAP bill completely ignores. Mr. President, Democrats have spent a month now, playing with people's livelihoods because the far left wing of their party won't let them accept a clean, nonpartisan CR. If they want to prevent damage from their shutdown, they can end the shutdown. The bill's right here at the desk. So, Mr. President, I ask that the senator from New Mexico modify his request so that the Senate can proceed to the immediate consideration of calendar number 168, H.R. 5371, that the bill be considered read a third time and passed, and that the motion to reconsider be considered made and laid upon the table. Mr. President,
the Majority Leader.
I regret the fact that the senator from New Mexico and his Democrat colleagues are unwilling to modify his request to include keeping the government open. And I would say, rhetorical question to my colleague from New Mexico, if the government reopens, do SNAP beneficiaries get paid? Yeah, right? So do WIC beneficiaries. Veterans, low-income elderly people, people who need this assistance. It's not like you're doing anything here that isn't accomplished by reopening the government and paying everybody else. And you guys know that. There are a lot of people today who aren't getting paid. Last Friday, federal employees didn't get paid for the first time. Yesterday, air traffic controllers didn't get paid for the first time. And it only worsens over time. And so I would be more than willing, and have said this multiple times, as you all know, to sit down, get a group together, talk about health care. We think that Obamacare, and particularly the enhanced subsidies, are desperately in need of reform. There's no income cap. There's no asset test. People are making $500,000 to $600,000 a year and getting subsidies from the federal government for their health care. There are $0 premiums. There are millions of Americans who don't even know they have coverage, because the way that program is structured, the payments go directly to the insurance companies. So insurance companies are out there auto-enrolling people and making bank. A lot of people don't even know that they have insurance coverage. So this program is desperately in need of reform. The waste, fraud, and abuse in this program is kind of gotten to an epic level, because if you look at what's happened since 2013 when the exchanges went online, insurance premiums in the individual marketplace on the exchanges have gone up 221%. I mean, you tell me any place else in the economy that goes up 221% in that amount of time. It's going up double digits every year. In the employer market, it would be 6 to 7%. So it's a program that's fundamentally in need of change and reform. It's unsustainable and it's unaffordable. And to give you an example of that, doing the very thing you're talking about, which is included in your bill, which was offered as an alternative to the Republican proposal, the clean Republican proposal that simply opens the government, the proposal included in your bill is a $400 billion item, cost to the taxpayers. And so we're willing to sit down and see, and I've said on behalf of the President as well, that he's willing to sit down and talk about how we can reform and make health care in this country more affordable and less inflationary. Because this program is inflationary. It's going up every year. Now, you all are going to blame the doing away with the Biden bonus payments in that legislation for the increase. But the fact of the matter is that'll be a very small part of that because of the way the program is structured in the first place. There is no incentive to constrain or control costs. So let's have that conversation. I've said that. We can sit down and do it. But as many of you have said, and there are quotes out there from all of you, in previous shutdowns or when there's fights over a continuing resolution, that you can't negotiate when you have a gun to your head. The Democrat leader said that. And so let's get beyond this silliness and fund the government and make sure that SNAP recipients and WIC recipients and recipients of other government programs, which I mentioned, and it's a long list, which isn't covered by your bill, by the way, that those people and those programs also get taken care of. We have a chance to do that. And we actually have a chance, I think, to have a normal appropriations process where we move bills across the floor, open them up to the amendment process, something that hasn't been done here in a while. We can do that. I want to start now. But it starts when we open up the government. So let's just do what normal people would do. And Senator from New Mexico's right. I represent a lot of hardworking Americans, farmers, ranchers, small business people, school teachers, educators. My dad and mom were educators. And I just think that there are a lot of people out there who look at this and say, this doesn't make any sense to me. If they want to talk about health care, then let's do that. But why take the federal government hostage and every federal employee, including everybody in this room that's not getting paid, that isn't covered by the bill that you're putting forward? The bill that does cover everybody is the one right there, which we've now voted on 13 times. Just a few of you decide to vote differently. Let's get on appropriations bills, start funding the government the old-fashioned way. I'm for that. I think everybody over here is up for that. I know the chair of our appropriations committee, Susan Collins, and most of the appropriators on the committee have worked together in a constructive way, in a bipartisan way, to get bills to the floor that we can consider. But so far, everything we've tried to do here, at least in the last few weeks, has been blocked, including get on the defense appropriations bill and go into conference on 3 bills we've already passed. So, Mr. President, as much as I appreciate what the senator from New Mexico is trying to do here, and I don't question his intentions, I think he is sincere, but I also think that this is missing the larger point here, and that is this government is closed. And what you're trying to do and accomplish here is make it harder, not easier, to get the government opened up again and to make sure everybody else gets paid. So, Mr. President, I object.